Echoes of the system.
The building was quiet when Claire Morrison noticed a flicker on her screen. Most analysts had already gone, leaving behind dark monitors and half-empty coffee cups. Her section glowed softly from 4 screens. She liked working late. At night, the air felt cleaner, and her thoughts clearer. Claire had been here for 5 years. She knew how to spot small irregularities, errors that disappeared inside the endless streams of data. Usually, everything repeated, but not this time. On her screen, a file suddenly duplicated. Twice. 2 identical lines appeared side by side, and then one vanished. She checked again. The same. No warnings. No errors. The system acted as if nothing had happened. Claire frowned. It wasn't a coincidence. Someone, or something, was moving inside the network, quiet enough to leave no trace. She reached for a small black recorder beside the keyboard, an old habit of leaving voice notes for herself, and pressed the red button. Her voice was steady. Unregistered, duplication detected. No alerts. Observing. The red light blinked evenly. She waited for half an hour. Nothing happened. When Claire finally turned off the computer, the recorder was still running. She gathered her things, and just then, her phone lit up. It was a message from Evan. Still working. She smiled faintly and typed back. Almost done. Then she slipped the phone into her bag and walked out, forgetting the small device under the monitor. Its red light kept blinking softly beneath the edge of her notebook. The corridor was silent. The overhead lights hummed quietly. Claire swiped her badge and stepped outside. The air smelled of rain. She walked to her car and started the engine. Home was calm. Evan was reading on the couch, his sleeves rolled up, a relaxed look on his face. "You're late," he said. "Lost track of time." "As always." He poured 2 glasses of wine. They talked about ordinary things, clients, family, a movie they never finished. She didn't mention the glitch. Not yet. Later, when he was asleep, she checked the logs again. Everything looked clean. Maybe it really had been a glitch. She almost believed it. The next morning, she returned to work. Her desk looked the same. Only the recorder still lay under the monitor, its red light blinking weakly, almost drained. She picked it up and pressed play. At first, only the hum of the servers. Then a pause, a faint click, and a man's voice, low, calm, close to the microphone. "Keep the mirror running." That was all. The recording ended. Claire froze. She recognized the sound in the background, the fan above her desk, the subtle vibration of the floor. Someone had been there, right where she'd been sitting. She turned off the recorder and placed it in her bag. Around her, colleagues chatted, laughed, typed as always. But for her, everything had already changed. She sat at her computer and stared at the login screen for a long moment before typing her password. Outside, daylight was rising, and inside her bag, among ordinary things, the recorder lay silent, holding one phrase that wouldn't leave her mind. Keep the mirror running. She didn't yet know what it meant, but she knew one thing for certain. Someone else had been there. Morning meetings blurred into one endless stream. Claire sat through them, nodding when expected, but her thoughts were elsewhere, in her bag, where the small black recorder lay hidden. During lunch, she slipped outside. The winter sun was pale, without warmth. She sat in her car and pressed play. Static, a low hum, then the voice. Keep the mirror running. Calm, confident, the tone of someone who knows he isn't being heard. She played it 3 times, hoping that maybe it would sound different. It didn't. When she went back inside, she opened a short internal note, Technical Sector 7, verification check. It looked like routine bureaucracy, but it was her way of leaving a trace, a small proof that she had noticed something before it disappeared. That evening she drove home slower than usual. The city looked ordinary, lights, pedestrians, cafes closing for the night. But everything felt too perfect, as if the world was pretending to be normal. When she opened the door, Evan was in the kitchen. The smell of fried onions filled the air. He turned toward her. "You look exhausted." "Rough day." "Same here. The company's going insane before the holidays." He spoke while stirring a pan of sauce. His voice was warm, familiar. Maybe too familiar. Claire asked, "Do you ever feel like something at work isn't right?" "Not right how?" "Like an error that doesn't feel like an error." He smiled. "That's your job, isn't it?" She almost laughed. "Almost." "Seriously," he said. "You think someone's interfering?" "Maybe. I'm not sure yet. You'll figure it out. You always do." He said it casually, but his tone felt measured. Or maybe she only imagined that. After dinner, they watched a series like always. Evan laughed at something on the screen. Claire didn't. She was watching him. Every gesture felt like a signal. When he went to take a shower, she reached for the recorder and played it quietly under the noise of running water. The same voice. The same phrase. She closed her eyes, picturing the person behind it. Someone confident, calm, someone who knew the space around him. Maybe even knew her. She turned the volume up and heard something beneath the words, a faint metallic sound. Keys, or a security badge. She replayed it. The sound was real. Whoever spoke had access. Evan came out of the bathroom, a towel around his neck. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About what?" "Work." He kissed the top of her head. "Then stop." She only nodded. Later, when he was asleep, Claire sat by the window with her laptop. She logged into the internal archive and scanned the access logs. One entry stood out, a technical keycard used between 2 and 4 a.m. in her sector, the exact time the recording was made. The card belonged to a contracting company. Evan's company. She stared at the screen for a long time. It could have been anything, a scheduled inspection, an automatic update. But not after midnight. Not near her desk. She closed the laptop and looked at him. Evan slept peacefully, his hand resting on the pillow beside her. Claire almost woke him, almost asked the question that had followed her since morning. But once spoken, some questions can't be taken back. So she stayed silent. She slid the recorder into a drawer under a pile of papers and lay down beside him. The darkness slowly adjusted to her eyes. Outside, the night was still, and in her mind, the voice returned again. "Keep the mirror running." Claire arrived so early she could see the building waking up. Keycards beeped, the coffee machine hissed. She kept her bag close. Inside it, wrapped in a scarf, lay the small black recorder, fragile, as if even air could break it. She didn't open the file with the voice. Not yet. First, she needed other proof, the kind you could point to without saying, "I just feel it." At her desk, she created something simple. A small bundle of internal notes, safe, routine, marked in a way only she would recognize. It looked like a training memo, 2 paragraphs about data hygiene, a list of minor tasks, a fake author's name. She placed it exactly where she had seen the duplication in the same data stream and set a quiet alert. If anyone copied the packet while it was in transit, a tiny marker would change color. Then she closed the window and spent half an hour answering ordinary emails, making sure no one noticed that her rhythm had changed. By late morning, the office was noisy enough to hide a quiet conversation. Claire stepped into a glass meeting room where her supervisor, Patel, was flipping through printouts with a pen between his teeth. She asked softly, "Got a minute?" He looked up. "Only if you've got solutions." "There's a repeat in the relay feeds," she said evenly. "No alerts. Could be maintenance. Could be masking." Patel took the pen out of his mouth. "Whose maintenance?" "That's the question. The activity window's late night. If it were scheduled, we'd have a record. I'll get the list." "Get it." Quietly. "And first, to me." He paused, looking at her a little closer. "Sleeping." "Enough," she lied. Back at her desk, she opened the monthly list of technical requests. Most were dull. Filters, console updates, a burnout fan. Only one line stood out. "After midnight scan, Sector 7, contractor badge." Minimal note. She built a short chronology. The duplication she'd noticed, the recorder she'd left behind, the voice, the contractor's access card. Small details, but together they pointed somewhere. At lunch, she sat by the far window, watching the wind ripple the water. Her hands shook, so she gripped her fork tightly, like a pen. She remembered the metallic sound beneath the voice, short, distinct. Keys, maybe. Or a badge clip. Not the sound of a stranger. The sound of someone who belonged. By mid-afternoon, The marker on her decoy flickered once and dimmed. Someone had taken a packet, copied it in a breath, and disappeared. She felt a precise, inward shift. Whoever it was, they knew exactly where to stand and when to move. She forced herself to wait until 5. Wrote 2 dull reports, reread a memo that made her eyes ache, then gathered her things and left. On the sidewalk, her phone buzzed. A message from Evan, running a little late. Need anything? She typed back, just you. Then another, working on it. She didn't drive home. She walked 2 blocks, turned a corner, and came back through a side entrance using a guest badge she kept from training. The night guard looked up, recognized her, and waved her through. Too easy. After 6, the analytics floor felt like another world. Empty, cold. She sat at a hot desk, not her own, and opened the access log she tagged. There it was, the decoy's path, the moment of mirrored copying, the relay it had passed through, the exact second she'd left the building. The endpoint sat inside a familiar network, the contractors. The same one listed on the maintenance badge, the one tied to infrastructure updates. She wrote down the exit node, the time window, the return pattern. Regular, almost careful, like someone checking a clock. Her phone lit up again. Evan wrote, "Everything okay?" She looked at the screen and typed back almost. Back at her own desk, everything felt different now. After learning someone had stood here, speaking, while she was gone. She ran her hand across the surface, as if she could feel the warmth that once lingered there. Nothing, just a thought. She took out the recorder and pressed play. Static, the hum. The same line, calm, close, familiar. Keep the mirror running. She listened twice. The second time, she closed her eyes and counted her breaths until the words settled. She didn't think it was Evan's voice, but she couldn't rule it out. His company's access card, confirmed. His late nights, too many. A contractor could lend credentials. A contractor could be someone else entirely. Each sentence true, and none of them helped. The next morning, she joined Patel's meeting. "We've got a narrow duplication window," he said. "Too clean for coincidence. I'm escalating to internal security. Claire, your notes." She handed him the printed chronology. He scanned it, nodded once. "Brief with me at 2. When she left the room, the floor felt softer beneath her shoes. Internal security meant questions she wasn't ready for. It meant her recorder, her night, her mistake. But it also meant she wasn't imagining things. Something real was moving. That evening, Evan had already set the table. Soft music played. "How was your day?" he asked. Loud. "Too many meetings. I've got a late client call tomorrow. Might be home after midnight," he said casually, as if talking about the weather. "With whom?" "Client operations. Infrastructure review." The words matched the logs exactly. She took a sip of wine and watched him. He didn't look away. Didn't explain. That made it worse. "Should I wait up?" she asked. "No need. Go to bed when you're tired." He smiled. Usually, that's her line. They talked about her sister, his parents, a possible weekend trip. When he laughed, things felt normal again. When he took her hand, her fingers warmed. She wanted to stay in that version of the evening, the one where work didn't follow her home. Later, when he was asleep, Claire sat at the edge of the bed and drew a small map. Her desk, the corridor, the relay, the door. She marked the place where she had left the recorder. The time burned into her memory. At the bottom, she wrote 3 words, keys, badge, voice. The page looked like the beginning of something that wouldn't stop. She placed a notebook in the drawer beside the recorder and lay down. The ceiling's uneven paint caught the dim light from outside. She stared until her eyes stung. Tomorrow, the briefing with internal security. She would explain what she'd seen, without saying what she'd heard. If they asked for the recorder, she'd hand it over. If not, she'd keep it, pretending it didn't weigh as much as it did. The apartment was quiet. Outside, a bus sighed and moved on. She listened to Evan's breathing, tried to match it, then gave up. She closed her eyes and silently repeated the words from the recording, like rehearsal before confession. The phrase felt like a thread between her fingers. All that was left was to pull. The meeting room was smaller than Claire had imagined. No windows, just a fan humming unevenly above a single lamp. 2 men were already inside, one in a gray suit with a folder the other wearing a blue internal security badge. Neither smiled. "Miss Morrison," said the man in the suit. "Agent Keller. This is Agent Shaw. Please sit." She sat down. The chair was cold, heavy. Shaw placed a small recorder on the table. "For the record," Keller began, "you reported a possible duplication in Sector 7, correct?" "Yes." "Describe it in your own words." Claire repeated what she had already told Patel. "A mirrored file, no errors, no fault code." Keller wrote slowly, the scratch of his pen making the silence heavier. "When did you first notice this pattern?" 2 days ago. "You were alone?" "Yes." Shaw leaned forward slightly. "Did you log your observations?" "Yes, in the system." "No external devices? Audio, video?" Her heart tightened for a moment. "No," she said. Shaw nodded. "Go on." She explained the test file, the decoy, the second duplication. They listened carefully, occasionally exchanging a glance. When she finished, Keller set his pen down. "Thank you, Miss Morrison. We've seen similar anomalies in 3 other sectors. Could be a technical glitch or not. For now, we'll need your cooperation. Do not discuss this with anyone, including your supervisor. Not even Patel. Especially not Patel," Shaw said. A chill ran down her back. "Am I under investigation?" "Not yet," Keller replied calmly. "We're isolating variables. You're one of them." She nodded. Keller slid a thin folder toward her. "We'll need your access logs and daily login history. We'll monitor remotely. Just act normal." That was the end of it. Shaw turned off the recorder and opened the door. "We'll be in touch, Miss Morrison." When she stepped outside, the air felt thicker. 22 minutes, and she had gone from watching others to being watched herself. At her desk, nothing had changed. Her coworkers still laughed by the coffee machine. She tried to type, but Shaw's question echoed in her head. External devices? She had lied. For the first time in her career, she had lied to an internal agent. And it didn't feel like deception, it felt like instinct. The recorder was in her drawer, wrapped in a scarf. She didn't even touch it, just knowing it was there was enough. That afternoon, a message appeared on her screen. Remote verification in progress. The cursor moved on its own, opening files, checking timestamps, closing them again. Then it stopped. The message vanished. She stood, walked to the restroom. In the mirror, her face looked pale, older than yesterday. For a second, she thought she should have handed over the recorder and let it go. But then she would lose the story and control over it. When she came back, a note lay on her keyboard. From Patel, talk at 5 p.m. He was already waiting. "I've been removed from your report," he said. "I know. They told you. More or less." Patel lowered his voice. 2 months ago, we had a similar anomaly. Different zone, same pattern. The analyst who found it quit a week later. No explanation. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're ready. And not everyone here wants this fixed. You're risking a lot. So are you. Leave early today." Outside, dusk had settled. Claire drove with no music, watching the empty streets slide by. When she reached her apartment, the lights were already on. Evan sat on the edge of the bed, tie loosened, laptop open. "Hey," he said. "Didn't hear you come in. Long day. We're all tired." He stood, touched her hand. "You've changed. It's work. You'll handle it." His voice was warm, but measured, too controlled. "How about late call tomorrow?" he added. "Don't wait up." "All right." When he turned off the light, she stayed standing in the dark, listening to the silence. Voices swirled in her head, Keller's, Shaw's, Patel's, and his. All calm, all steady. She took the recorder from her drawer and held it in her hand for a long moment. Then she placed it on the nightstand. If someone was listening, they could hear this too. The next morning, Claire received an email that was never meant for her. Not on her work account, her personal one. No subject line, just an attachment named mirror.log. She froze. The sender was a random string of numbers and letters. For a long moment, she didn't open it. Then she downloaded the file and turned off the Wi-Fi. Inside was a text dump, timestamps, familiar lines. Her own test file, copied line by line. And at the bottom, a short Latin phrase, cave lusum. She typed it into her phone's translator. Beware the light. Her chest tightened. This wasn't a glitch. It was a message. At the office, everything looked normal. and that made it worse. She searched for any hint that someone knew, but no one mentioned a thing. Patel wasn't at his desk. His chair was tucked in, his cup dried out. She checked her messages. Nothing. Then she saw a department announcement. Restructuring. Staff redistribution. Her stomach dropped. When she walked to his office, it was empty, screens wiped, boxes stacked. A note taped to the door. Transferred. Claire stood staring at the word until it lost meaning. Then she went back to her desk. Her hidden folder, gone. Deleted at 9:07. Her clock read 9:12. Her hand shook. She shut down the computer and took the stairs down, fast. Outside, the cold air burned her face. She sat on a bench and texted Patel. "Where are you?" Delivered. Not read. A minute later, an unknown number called. "Claire Morrison?" "Yes. This is Agent Keller. You need to return to the building immediately." "Why?" "There's been an incident involving your supervisor. We'll explain on site." She looked at her reflection in the glass of the building across the street, a pale face turning back toward her. "I'm coming," she said. Two unidentified men escorted her inside. No explanation. Keller waited in the same windowless room. A folder sat on the table. "Have a seat," he said. Inside was Patel's ID badge and a short report. "Your supervisor has been suspended," Keller said evenly. "Preliminary cause. Unauthorized data duplication." "That's impossible." "Are you sure?" he asked. "The logs point to his credentials." "He warned me," Claire said quietly. "He was trying to help." "Warned you about what, exactly?" She hesitated. She couldn't recall the exact words, only the weight of them, that it wasn't an isolated case. Keller nodded. "We'll look into it. Your job is to continue as normal. Don't chase connections." He closed the folder. "That's all." At the door he added, "And if anything unusual appears on your personal channels, forward it to us." Immediately. The tone was soft, but the meaning was sharp. They already knew. That evening she sat at her desk, pretending to work. The heavy air of the office pressed down on her. At 6, she left. Evan wasn't home. Just a note. "Late call, don't wait up." Claire turned on one lamp. Opened her personal email. The message was gone. Deleted. Even from the trash. Someone had accessed her account. Then she opened the recorder. A new file. 143. She hadn't touched the device since yesterday. She pressed play. Static. The low hum. Then a whisper. She slowed the playback. "He didn't disappear. It's you." Her skin prickled. She played it again. The voice dissolved into noise. Her phone vibrated. A message from Evan. On a call. "Might stay overnight." She replied, "Take care." Walking to the window, she saw a black car parked across the street. No lights. Inside, a silhouette. She watched for a long time, until her own reflection blurred against the glass. Then she stepped back. The first knock came just after midnight. 3 slow, even hits measured as if someone expected an answer. Claire lifted her head from the kitchen table. The recorder lay in front of her. She'd been replaying that distorted whisper in her mind over and over. "He didn't disappear. It's you." The clock read 12:06. Outside, rain drew thin, silver lines down the window. Another knock. She went to the door and looked through the peephole. A man stood in the hallway, soaked to the bone. "Who are you?" "Rafiq," he said. "I worked with Patel. I need a minute." The name made her stop breathing for a second. She unhooked the chain, but not all the way. "How do you know about him?" "He told me to find you if it happened again." She opened the door a little wider. Rafiq stepped inside, shaking off the rain. Middle-aged, worn out, his eyes moved fast, scanning the room. "Good thing you kept the recorder," he said. "Without it, everything would have been lost." "You know about it?" "Yes. It's not just a recorder anymore." "Explain." He hung up his coat and leaned toward the table. Patel created a hidden return channel inside the system, a mirror loop. Any device that syncs audio with the archive automatically connects to it. When you made your first recording, your recorder became part of that network. So the new messages, they're echoes from the loop. Every time you connect the recorder to a terminal, the system exchanges fragments. It's automatic. You're saying Patel is alive? Partially. Before they erased him, he uploaded fragments of his memory into the relay. The system can't delete him entirely without breaking its own code. So he's still there, between mirrors. When the loop activates, parts of him appear as short audio files. So, I've been hearing him? Yes. He's been trying to warn you. And what is he didn't disappear? It's you mean? Rafik's eyes darkened. He saw what they were doing to people. They don't just monitor, they rewrite. Change employee profiles, overwrite behavior patterns. You look at someone, but it's no longer them. She drew in a sharp breath. Why me? Because you noticed the error, and they don't let those stay. He pulled a small black memory card from his pocket. Insert this into the recorder when you connect to a terminal. It's a key. It will open the mirror channel. That's illegal, she said quietly. It's a chance to stay yourself, he answered. And Patel, dead, but not gone. Part of him is still there. You'll recognize his voice. He put his coat back on. They're already tracking me. If anyone asks, you never saw me. Why me? She asked again. He stopped at the door. Because Patel trusted you. And because Evan doesn't. She froze. You know him. We all know him, Rafik said. You just didn't know who he works for. Then he left. Claire sat motionless for a long time. Rain beat against the glass. On the table lay the recorder and the black card. She inserted the card into the recorder. The small screen flickered with text. Mirror. Active sync detected. The light blinked once, and the recording started on its own. If you're hearing this, they found me. Don't trust Keller. Don't trust Shaw. A click. Silence. Claire sat still, listening to the sound of her own heartbeat. Her phone lit up. Evan. Hey, his voice was calm. Just finished work. You still awake? Yeah. Anyone stop by? She held her breath. No, she said. Good, he replied. Don't open the door to strangers. The line clicked. Silence. Only a faint hum. The same one from the recording. Evan, she whispered. The call disconnected. She set the phone down and stared at the blinking recorder. He wasn't outside. He was in the mirror. Morning came without sun. The city outside Claire's window looked blurred, gray, worn out, as if it hadn't slept either. She hadn't slept at all. Her thoughts kept her awake. She already knew what she had to do, but it had to be done carefully. On the table, the recorder blinked beside the black data card. She connected it to her work laptop. The screen flickered, froze for a few seconds, and then displayed a line. Access key verified. A new window opened. First empty, then filling with moving text. It wasn't a file, it was a live stream. Code mixed with names, timestamps, fragments of speech. Each name appeared twice, in 2 columns. Then she saw hers. Morrison, Claire, active. Morrison, Claire, mirror version pending. Her stomach turned. Then another name flashed. Patel, Anil, terminated. Patel, Anil, mirror version active. She froze. A small wave icon appeared on the screen. She clicked it. From the laptop came a distorted but unmistakable voice, Patel's. If you're hearing this, the mirror network has already infiltrated personal profiles. They don't replace the hardware. They rewrite us. Every time you log in, it creates a copy. Your habits, your voice, your decisions. And once it knows you well enough, it starts using the copy instead of you. The message cut off, then returned. They call it security. It's control. You won't feel the moment it happens. One morning you'll wake up thinking you're still you. But every action will already be predicted. And the real you will be archived. Claire closed the laptop lid, her heart pounding. And she opened it again. A new alert blinked on the screen. Signal strength low, sync interrupted. Reconnect to restore mirror link. The system was trying to reconnect to her. Her phone vibrated. A message from Evan. You at work already? She typed back, yes. You? No reply. She opened the internal chat. Keller's name was online. She started typing. Need to report a new anomaly. Then stopped. Patel's voice echoed in her memory. Don't trust Keller. She erased the message. The data stream opened on its own again. Images appeared, faces from employee ID badges. Beside each one, 2 columns, original and mirror, sometimes identical, sometimes not, a small difference in the eyes, a shift in posture, an almost imperceptible change in expression. Then she saw it. Gray, Evan, mirror version active. She clicked. A short video played, Evan at work, speaking to someone off camera. His voice was steady, too measured. Then he suddenly looked straight into the camera, and the feed cut out. Claire pulled back from the screen. Another file appeared, automatically. She played it. Patel's voice again, faint but clear. If you're seeing this, you found the signal. They're trying to overwrite you. Don't let the sync complete. Shut down before 8 o'clock, where your profile will go active. You'll think everything's fine, but it won't be you anymore. The clock read 7:42. She ripped the card from the recorder. The screen flared red. Warning, unsynchronized device detected. Attempting restore. The cursor started to move on its own. Windows opened. Processes launched. The system was pulling her back in. Claire yanked out the power cable. The screen blinked, pulse-like for a few seconds, then went dark. Her phone rang again. Claire, don't fight the update. It's me. She stared at the message, unblinking. 7:46. Shut down before 8, Patel's voice repeated in her mind. She grabbed her bag, shoved the recorder inside, and ran out of the apartment. Rain hit instantly, soaking her coat. She walked fast, not looking back. Claire packed in silence. No music, no news, no phone. She removed the hard drive from her laptop, the SIM card from her phone, and left everything that could listen or transmit locked in a drawer. By 9, she was outside. The city after rain looked washed clean. She found a small cafe near the river, the kind that took only cash and had no cameras by the tables. She ordered a coffee she never touched. Her reflection in the window looked older than the day before. For the first time in days, the world was quiet. No screens, no alerts, just the hum of cars and the soft rush of water through the gutters. But the silence didn't last. In the drafts folder of her email sat a message she hadn't written. No sender. The subject line read only. You want the truth, go offline. It wasn't from Patel, but the address in the message, an old warehouse near the docks, matched one of the coordinates in his files. She hesitated almost an hour before deciding to go. The warehouse looked abandoned. Inside smelled of dust, metal, and old coffee. But the lights still worked. A few hanging lamps glowed over long rows of tables. And there was one computer, old, loud, running a system she hadn't seen in years. On the desktop blinked a single folder, Patel_case_backup. Her heart pounded as she opened it. Dozens of documents filled the screen. Transfer orders, financial reports, payment logs. Every trail led to the same division, Resource Allocation Department. This wasn't security. It was money. Contract had been rewritten through fake programs. Funds rerouted under labels like mirror maintenance. Patel had discovered that the mirror network was just a front, a laundering channel that top officials used to move millions without oversight. When he started asking questions, they erased him. And when Claire accidentally stumbled onto his test file, they added her to the list. She leaned back in the chair. It wasn't some ghostly artificial intelligence. It was people, ordinary, greedy people, hiding crime behind a system. The mirror profiles weren't digital copies. They were forged documents used to cover up the disappearance of employees. Patel, Shaw, a few others, all transferred. She opened the last file. Gray, Evan, field consultant. Transfers via external account. Authorization, Keller. Her breath caught. Evan wasn't a victim. He was the link. Another file appeared automatically. Voice_final. She clicked it. Patel's voice, calm, clear, unmistakable, filled the room. If you're hearing this, it means they couldn't destroy us. This was never about programs, Claire. It's about people who hide greed behind technology. They'll come when they realize the file survived. Don't run, testify. The message ended. Claire sat still. The words didn't echo. They rooted themselves deep inside her. She copied every file onto a portable drive, slipped it into her pocket, and shut the computer down. When she stepped outside, the sky had already brightened. The air smelled of the river. Her phone vibrated. She'd forgotten to remove the battery. A new message from Keller. We need to talk. Don't make this worse. She looked at it, deleted it, and kept walking. She wasn't running anymore. Now she had proof, and a voice that would never go silent again. The morning Claire decided to tell everything was gray, the color of wet concrete. She sat at a bus stop with a small flash drive in her hand. On it, all of Patel's files, contracts, reports, voice recordings. Evidence. All night, she had been making copies, leaving them in lockers around the city. If something happened to her, the truth would remain. At 9, a man in his 60s sat beside her. Not from the agency, a journalist from the Herald. Patel had trusted him once. His name was Daniel Foster. "You're late," he said. "Had to make sure I wasn't being followed." "You work with Patel?" "A colleague. He didn't kill himself. They erased him." She handed him the flash drive. "Do you realize what you're doing? After this, no one in government will touch you. I can't live with myself if I stay silent." "That's how all good stories begin," he said quietly. The Herald newsroom smelled of coffee and paper. Daniel plugged in the drive. Tables filled the screen. Names, numbers, transactions. His face hardened. God, they laundered money through humanitarian programs, mirror maintenance, predictive funds, pure washing. Patel found it. Keller had him removed and replaced his profile with a fake one. "And your fiancé?" "He was watching me." Daniel nodded. "We'll need a living witness." "There is one," Claire said. "Rafik." They met in a small roadside diner. Rafik looked worn out, but he came. A recorder sat on the table. "State your name." "Rafik Ahmed." "Position?" "Systems engineer." "Patel's deputy." "What happened to him?" "He traced the money flow." Keller funneled millions through the Mirror project. When Patel filed a report, he was transferred. The next day his access was revoked. His badge was left on a desk that no longer existed in the database. "And why are you talking now?" "Because I saw the same thing happening to Claire. And because Patel said, if they bury me, someone has to dig me up." 2 days later, the Herald published its headline. "Whistleblower Network Exposed. Government Project Revealed as Money Laundering Scheme." Keller was arrested on his way to a private firm. Shaw turned himself in. And Evan disappeared. Claire testified before a closed committee. Her voice didn't shake. She told them everything about Patel, the scheme, the people who had been transferred instead of fired. At the end, the chairwoman asked, "Why did you decide to speak?" Claire thought for a moment. "Because Patel used to say, data can lie, but silence lies louder." The room went still. She walked out into the corridor, then onto the street. The world looked ordinary, buses, people, noise. But now it belonged to her. In her pocket, the recorder was silent. For the first time, truly silent. The world didn't end. When the truth comes out, it doesn't destroy the world. It just changes it. Colder but clearer. 2 months had passed since the hearings. Keller and Shaw were awaiting trial. Several officials had resigned by personal choice. The agency had been renamed, promising transparency and oversight. They offered Claire her position back. She refused. Now she lived outside the city, above a small bookstore by the river. She managed the shop's databases, quiet, unremarkable work. She liked that no one here asked about the past. On her desk sat the recorder, dark still. She hadn't touched it since the day she testified. Sometimes Patel appeared in her dreams. He didn't warn her or speak in riddles anymore. He only asked, "Are you listening now?" One spring evening, she stayed late closing up the shop. The sky above the river was deep blue, and the streets were quiet. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. She almost ignored it until she saw the message. "Good work, Claire. He'd be proud of you." No signature. Below the text, an attachment, echo.mp3. She put on her headphones and pressed play. Static. Then a voice. "They'll rebuild it under another name. Watch the ones who stay silent." "Truth doesn't disappear," echoes. Patel's voice. No doubt. The message ended. No sender data. Claire sat motionless, listening to the faint hum of the lamp. The file had come from nowhere, like an echo, from a place she thought was already silent. She looked at the recorder and pressed record. "For the record," she said softly, "my name is Claire Morrison. I heard the echo, and I'm still listening." She let the silence breathe for a few seconds, then stopped the recording. That was the real ending. Not technological, but human. Truth doesn't bring the dead back, but leaves an echo, and those who can still hear it.